What's up, guys, and welcome back to Tech Planet. Today we're going to be looking at my Jewel Orchid Terrarium. Let's check it out. To start off this orchid build, we are going to go all the way back to the beginning of this terrarium. So this thing has been functioning probably for about 4 or 5 months at this point, and I've updated it a few times when the foreground stuff has sort of died out or failed, and it's actually happened twice, and we will kind of recap and go over all of that. So I first started out with this really cool terrarium that I got from Target. It was a little overpriced, but my wife was like, it's cool, let's get it. And it's a great way for me to put plants up on my main floor because I know my child can't really get into it because it's like far out of his reach. And I just don't have to worry about it much. It's nice and small and compact. So that's why I got it. I don't really put too many crazy things in my terrariums. I know a lot of people have these like huge layer systems. I'm just tossing some gravel down at the bottom and then some soil on the top. Honestly, I probably don't even need the gravel, but it's there to catch any little bits of extra water that might go past the already saturated soil. So I understand that there's all sorts of criticism, but I think if you understand how you're watering and you understand just like what you're doing and how the soil works with water and what that gravel layer actually is for, it's fine. Anyways, I did want to do like a big orchid terrarium, so I had this terrestrial orchid, like a jewel orchid actually, and I got this one in the for sale bin, really cheap. And I figured I'd base everything around that and then use some of these like little mini oak leaf figs to sort of give it some background and a lot of like lush greenery. I did add some aquarium substrate. Well, the main gravel is already like sea chem, but then I also did that fluorite stuff. I like this stuff because there's a lot of nutrients in there, so I figured as this like breaks down, because this was old stuff or new stuff, I can't remember anymore, but it breaks down and it sort of releases nutrients. It's already got some stuff in there, so I just added that on top to sort of bulk it up. And again, I like to experiment with a lot of things and just see what happens. I tried some moss that I did find out in my backyard as sort of the foreground just to see how it works. I usually don't have a lot of good success with moss, but I figured with a more better terrarium with a better top and everything, it can sort of breathe while keeping that humidity in there. I thought this might work, but as you'll see, as like a month went by, 2 months went by, it all died off. It just went brown and that was it. Maybe it was going to bounce back eventually, but I just wasn't having it. So like I said, that pretty much brings us to the 3-month mark about when I decided to tear that moss out because I wasn't having it. So I'm going to try some different stuff that I got in the bargain bin at my local plant store. This stuff was pretty cheap and I thought maybe this might carpet pretty well, and it also flowered quite nicely, so I thought it'd be really cool. So I took all the moss out, just updated a few things and tried planting this and made it sort of look like it was going to carpet the front. I thought it looked really good in that foreground because, like I said, it flowers. It also had a more purple leaf when it was like really sun saturated. And overall, I thought this was going to be super successful just because it wasn't some moss from my backyard. However, over time, they slowly got either eaten by the snail population that lives in here, because you will notice that some of the terrestrial orchid is chewed on. There's some snails, there's some isopods in here. There's all sorts of little critters, so maybe they ate it or it just wasn't fit for this terrarium like I thought it was. So that brings us to today, which I think would give us like another 4 months of time that has passed, maybe a little less. I want to say we're at about 7 months now looking at the timestamps. They get a little jacked up with my camera sometimes. I don't know why. It like glitches out when it overheats and does all kinds of crazy stuff. But from the timestamps, it looks like it's about 7 months. You can see the foreground is completely gone. I mean, it is 100% died off. There's nothing left. But that like oak leaf fig or whatever, this creeping oak leaf, I forget what they call it, it really filled in nicely, almost too nicely. It grows a lot faster than these terrestrial orchids, so it's kind of overfilling it, but I do love the look. I think it's really nice. So I just decided to clean this thing up. I did kind of push a little bit down and bring the terrestrial orchids like up and out of there because they were sort of getting held down by the vining nature of it. But again, I don't want to trim too much out yet because I really like how well it fills in the terrarium, and it really gives it a nice like green look, and it's really pretty. So now that we got the foreground sort of cleaned up and stirred up, this brings us to our new attempt at a foreground, and it's just going to be more jewel orchids. So I'm just pretty much converting this one into a totally like terrestrial orchid. Although one might not really be technically terrestrial, but I'm going to give it a shot anyways. So I got these 2 jewel orchids I picked up at Hauserman's Orchids in like Illinois. If you live in Illinois, it's worth checking out. It's a pretty cool place. But yeah, we're going to plant these in here and see what they do. This one is a lot prettier than the previous one that I put in there. The leaves have a lot more like colorful veins and just really a jewel orchid. It looks really awesome. So I'm hoping this one sort of takes over that foreground. And same with that more like brownish greenish tannish one. It has a really nice pattern as well, and I'm really hoping this one can take over the corner. I don't think this will grow nearly as fast as the other two jewel orchids, but it'll be a nice little accent. So far, I think this terrarium is turning out to be pretty awesome. I did add some of that orchid bark in there just to break up the green and give it a little deeper red-orange between the green and the soil. I think it looks quite nice, actually, and also that pile will really help that less terrestrial orchid, if that makes any sense, because it's a little more breathable. I don't want to rot it out right away. Let's let it get established, and maybe it'll be fine. But overall, I really love the look of this new updated terrarium. I'm having a lot of fun, actually, like modifying this one every few months. It sucks that the foreground keeps dying, and hopefully that doesn't happen to these orchids. But as they grow, it's really fun to sort of add and like evolve the terrarium. I've actually really enjoyed putting this one together and just updating it and doing cool stuff with it. It's really fun, and I don't know, it's just really cool, and I hope you guys think so too. As I come across more of these jewel orchids, I might add a few more, but we'll see. Hopefully there'll be like another update in 3 months, hopefully with good news. Well guys, that pretty much sums up this video. I hope you enjoyed the update. It's about 7 months in the making. This will be the third attempt, I guess, to try and get that foreground to have something in it. So hopefully this time it actually takes, and I'll probably let you know in about 3 months. Hopefully the results are good and I just end up adding more orchids, but we shall see. Hopefully you guys like this terrarium content, and as always, may your plants go strong and healthy. I'll see you next time.